Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the LWN Network. I hope you all had a peaceful, pleasant weekend, holiday weekend, Memorial weekend, and gave some pause and grace and thanks to those who sacrificed all for this great nation to be where we are today. It was a nice long weekend. Of course, and I stay pretty busy, and I did keep up on the news, and we know that there's a lot of news that still happened over this weekend that I'm going to report here. All these headlines next to me we get to cover, but also I want to announce that LW and I will be doing a show tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He called me this morning and said that he wants to do a show, so we will cover some of these topics in depth that I have been doing this morning here that you'll hear me do, and some other things as well, and catch up with you guys. As always, it is going to be a call-in show, so if you want to call in, please do so. Our wonderful mods do drop the link in the chat constantly, so you guys have it. And all you have to do is go out of whatever platform you're listening or watching us from, give us a call, and you'll be able to hear the show as you're waiting and talk with LW and I, and then you can hang up and go back to your platform. It's really pretty easy now with having a call-in number versus how we used to do it before in the old days, in the beginning, where you had feedback and echo and stuff from YouTube and all that. So if you want to, go ahead and give us a call, even if it's something that isn't on topic we're talking about. If there's something that's bothering you, something you want us to look up, something that you just want to have a say about, please give us a call. Let us know. We'd love to chat with you tonight. So it will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will put out a reminder for you guys as well. So with all that being said, I am going to go ahead and play the intro and get started on the headline hits for Tuesday. Oh boy, it is a rough day when Tuesday feels like a Monday, isn't it? So we're just going to go ahead and get through this after this intro, and I'll see you on the other side. So first up, we have this morning that according to a U.S. Attorney's website, former sheriff of Culpeper County, Virginia, was sentenced May 21st to 10 years in federal prison for accepting a over $75,000 bribe in exchange for appointing numerous Northern Virginia businessmen as auxiliary deputy sheriffs within his department. You may have heard of this story when it was hot a while back. In December of 2024, a jury did convict Scott Howard Jenkins, 53, of Virginia, one of the count of conspiracy, 4 counts of honest services fraud, and 7 counts of bribery concerning programs receiving federal funds. Now, Scott Jenkins apparently violated his oath of office and the faith of the citizens of Culpeper County, placed him in when he engaged in cash for badges scheme. Acting United States Attorney Zachary T. Lee said, "We hold our elected law enforcement officers to a higher standard of conduct, and this case proves that when those officials use their authority for unjust enrichment, the Department of Justice will hold them accountable. I am grateful for the FBI for their tireless work on this investigation. Every law enforcement officer takes an oath to serve and protect the community. That includes following the law they've sworn to uphold. I am proud of the diligent work our investigative team did on the case to bring Jenkins to justice," said Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Richmond Division, Stanley Meador. According to the court documents and evidence presented at trial, Jenkins accepted cash bribes and bribes in the form of campaign contributions from co-defendants Rick Rahim, Frederick Gumbiner, and James Metcalf, as well as at least 5 others, including 2 FBI undercover agents. So Rahim, Gumbiner, and Metcalf have all pled guilty for the roles in that conspiracy. In return, apparently, for the bribes, Jenkins appointed each of the bribe payers as auxiliary deputy sheriffs, a sworn law enforcement position, and issued them official Culpeper County Sheriff's Office badges and credentials. Now, when we get to that, it says that, in addition, Jenkins pressured other local officials to approve a petition filed in Culpeper County Court by Rahim, a convicted felon, to restore his right to possess a firearm, and which falsely stated that Rahim resided in Culpeper County. But the twist on this whole story is President Trump came out yesterday on Truth Social and said this: Sheriff Scott Jenkins, his wife Patricia, and their family had been dragged through the hell by the corrupt and weaponized Biden DOJ. In fact, during his trial, when Sheriff Jenkins tried to offer exculpatory evidence to support himself, the Biden judge, Robert Ballou, refused to allow it, shut him down, and then went on a tirade, as we've seen in federal, city, and state courts. Radical left or liberal judges allow into evidence what they feel like, not what is mandated under the Constitution and rules of evidence. This sheriff is a victim of overzealous Biden Department of Justice and doesn't deserve to spend a single day in jail. He is a wonderful person who is persecuted by the radical left monsters and left for dead. That is why I, as President of the United States, sees fit to end his unfair sentence and grant Sheriff Jenkins a full and unconditional pardon. He will not be going to jail today, but instead have a wonderful and productive life. So this is the complete opposite of what we're seeing from one side to the other, where this sheriff was convicted and President Trump gave him a full pardon. We know that we've been seeing a lot that has been going awry with these judges just trying to overstep their power and basically stepping up for anybody that isn't a U.S. citizen. It's always the illegals and the criminals is who they are backing and stepping up for. Obviously, President Trump feels this man was treated unfairly and gave him a full and complete pardon. And what a difference a day makes. This man has gone through this trial for over a year or so. And then the day he's to go to jail, he's given a free and full pardon. So it is quite interesting to me. You know that the president is not going to pardon people that don't deserve a pardon. So it is just very interesting to me how the things are going in this world with the court system and with the Biden administration versus the Trump administration. We're seeing a lot of big differences and a lot of things that weren't on the up and up. Next up, we do have the Hunter laptop. Steve Bannon did come out on Getter and fired out about the Hunter Biden laptop in reference to Miranda Devine. She is an Australian columnist who he says is a hero for her work on the laptop from hell. He said, "Where are the indictments? Where are the perp walks? Where are the incarcerations? Where are the FBI and DOJ?" He said, "We are burning daylight." In a New York Post article, it does state, on the eve of 2020 election, FBI agents discussed an active money laundering case against Hunter Biden just hours after casting doubt on the authenticity of his incriminating laptop during meetings with social media companies, according to a newly redacted chat log obtained by Senator Chuck Grassley. Remember him? The FBI's refusal to confirm the laptop's existence and instead allow a false narrative to take hold that it was Russian disinformation came on the same day that the Post published the bombshell emails from the device revealing Joe Biden's involvement in his son's lucrative influence peddling schemes when he was vice president. Actually, what kind of case is the laptop thing? FBI agent Elvis Chan asked FBI analyst Peter Courtney on October 14th of 2020. Earlier that day, during an FBI meeting with Twitter, which is now X, about election interference, a Twitter employee had asked about the authenticity of the laptop considering the Post story. Courtney began to respond that the laptop was real when an FBI lawyer interrupted to say that the FBI had no further comment, according to later congressional testimony by Laura Demlow, then the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force section chief. Now, Courtney messed up. An attorney from the FBI's Office of the General Counsel messages Chan half an hour after his exchange with Courtney. "We cannot comment." Miranda Devine said new FBI chat logs reveal extraordinary gag order senior leadership used to shut down any Hunter Biden laptop discussion. The FBI lawyer is believed to have worked under former FBI General Counsel James Baker, who was conveniently parachuted into Twitter 6 months before the election, where he would be instrumental in discussions about censoring the Post. Later that evening, the FBI lawyer told FBI agent Brady Olson that Courtney had been admonished, but he won't shut up. Nobody on call is authorized to comment upon the New York Post story. I've told Courtney, Twitter is treating it as disinformation. In dozens of meetings leading up to the 2020 election, the FBI had conditioned social media companies to recognize information about the laptop as Russian disinformation, according to the Twitter files and later congressional testimony. On the very day that the accurate story about the laptop appeared in the Post, the FBI suddenly clammed up. It allowed social media companies to conclude that the story was Russian disinformation that needed to be censored for election integrity purposes. So you can read Miranda's detailed story on the New York Post. It's in full. Miranda does have a book out called Laptop from Hell, which details Hunter Biden, big tech, and the dirty secrets his father, which was then president, tried to hide. And I also read and saw that book, Marco Polo. Do you guys remember that? It was put together with all the Hunter Biden info off the laptop. It had all the emails, all the receipts for checks. It had all the images, disturbing images from his laptop of drug abuse and all the physical stuff with underage women and whatnot. So this is another thing the Trump administration needs to take care of. Steve Bannon was calling it out. He said this woman did great work and has this book out with all the details. And he's wondering why there's been no movement on the Hunter Biden laptop as of yet, and why there's been nobody called to task. There's been no action on it. So like I said, it's another thing that the Trump administration does need to work on and get ahead on top of the Epstein files, which is a sore note for many people. But I found that very interesting that he would call all that out. You know, he's friends with Cash. He's friends with Dan Bongino. He's friends with Pam Bondi and all these people. But he's saying, where are you guys at with this? So next up, we have Trump was looking to redirect $3 billion in Harvard grants to U.S. trade schools. He posted his statement on Monday via his social media platform, Truth Social. He was stating, I am considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from the very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools across our land. What a great investment it would be for the USA and so badly needed. The potential for redirection of taxpayer dollars comes less than a week after the Trump administration moved to block the Ivy League institution from enrolling foreign students as part of the president's effort to hold the institution to account for its actions, also by challenging its tax-exempt status and federal funding stream. Trump continued to criticize Harvard on Sunday, questioning the university's transparency and demanding it reveal the personal details of its international students. And also on Trump's mind is what is going on with Putin. Now, Trump spoke to reporters over the weekend saying, I don't like at all what Putin is doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a very long time and have always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I'm very surprised, and we'll see what we're going to do. However, there are reports that came out that Putin's helicopter was targeted by Ukrainian drones as he visited the Kursk region in a surprise visit last week, a Russian military official has claimed. The alleged attack took place as the Russian president visited the border region for the first time since Moscow claimed it had repelled Ukrainian forces from the area last month. Putin's helicopter was at the epicenter of a large-scale Ukrainian drone attack on May 20th, Yuri Dashkin, commander of a Russian air defense division, said, according to Kremlin newswire TASS. So that is what has been going out there, the rumors and the suspicions that it was Zelensky targeting Putin's helicopter. That's why Putin's mad. That's why he's moving forces to the front line. And I did see a comment, an interpretation of Putin saying that I think that it's time that we break away from the U.S. in negotiations and take care of this. So all this is up in the air. And that was the president's statement as of, I think it was Saturday when this occurred. So we have to keep obviously an eye on this. Things are just falling apart as far as negotiation stuff, and things do definitely seem to be escalating, unfortunately. The next step we have, it's also been reported that the FBI Director Kash Patel is going to reopen the investigation into the cocaine found at the White House during the Biden administration. The FBI says it will reopen and intensely investigate several high-profile cases. One is the cocaine found in the White House, then the leak of the overturning of Roe versus Wade decision, and the January 6th DC pipe bomb. Back in July of 2023, Secret Service found a plastic bag with cocaine near the West Executive Avenue entrance at the West Wing. 11 days later, the investigation was closed without any info on who left the cocaine in the White House, sparking controversy and accusations of a cover-up as partial DNA hit was found on the packaging, but investigators did not allow the lead. According to whistleblowers, it wasn't the first time cocaine was found at the White House, but it was the first time the media was informed. The FBI plans to investigate the partial DNA hit as well from the 2023 FBI lab, which showed a possible match to someone who had White House ties. Many claim that the Secret Service under former Director Kimberly Cheadle suppressed evidence and did not properly investigate because all signs pointed to Hunter Biden, who has a history, we know too well, of drug addiction. So it looks like the FBI and the investigations are continuing into Hunter, as well as the laptop and as well as cocaine in the White House. And then next up, we have the big, beautiful bill. So that big, beautiful bill is on pause for now. A group of Senate Republicans outlined demands to back President Trump's big bill. And Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin said he is pushing for deeper spending cuts, saying we need to be responsible for our first goal of our budget reconciliation process. It should be to reduce the deficit. This increases it. It matters because Johnson said he believes there are enough Republicans with concerns about the bill to stop the process until the president gets serious about spending reduction and reducing the deficit. Republicans do control the Senate 53-47 and have invoked special rules that are going to allow them to pass the package with a simple majority and bypass Democrats who have slammed the bill as a scam. But basically, he's saying there's little room for disagreement over the package, but it does combine tax breaks, spending costs, border security funding, and other priorities. Johnson spoke out on the bill, saying it was the only chance to bring federal spending levels back to pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. He said the Republicans need to examine spending line by line, just like DOJ has done, to find things to eliminate all the extra and excess. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky has said he will not consider supporting the bill unless the increase to the debt ceiling is taken out. Paul came out and said the spending cuts are wimpy and anemic, but he said he would support the bill even with wimpy and anemic cuts if they weren't going to explode the debt. He said, I've told them if they strip out the debt ceiling, I'll consider, even with the imperfections, voting for the rest of the bill, but I can't vote to raise the debt ceiling to $5 trillion. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri and others have voiced concerns about the changes to Medicaid in the bill that would lead to millions of people losing coverage, but has remained reported over and over again, including here, that the cuts in Medicaid are only to the people not qualified who are getting it, and all the millions of illegals who are not entitled to it and who are collecting it. But the people who are entitled to it and are U.S. citizens who qualify are not going to be affected. So President Trump on Sunday did say, I want the Senate and senators to make the changes they want. Go back to the House and we'll see if we can get them done. Trump said in some cases those changes may be something I'd agree with, to be honest. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said he met with Senate Republicans over there last week, and I encouraged them to do their work but make as few modifications to this package as possible, because remember that we have got to pass it one more time to ratify their changes in the House. Jackson reiterated again, we are not cutting Medicaid in this package, but working to eliminate fraud, waste, and ambush and abuse. So fraud, waste, and abuse is what they're working to eliminate with Medicaid. Don't get it mixed up. Too many people are involved saying that they're going to cut it for citizens who are entitled to it, and they're not. Josh Holloway again said we need to have basically written its own version of this bill, and I just want to make sure that there are no Medicaid benefit cuts. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is saying the Republicans are trying to force the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. And the largest cut to Medicaid in American history is not beautiful, it's ugly, and will rip health care away from millions. But once again, Speaker Johnson and many have said it is not going to affect American citizens who qualify. It's the ones who don't, illegals, citizens who don't qualify and are getting it. Also, they are cutting waste. So obviously, they're not listening to what the Speaker Johnson is saying regarding the cuts. Obviously, they're not looking at the bill. Can't Chuck Schumer and all these other guys look at the bill themselves and see what exactly the cuts are going to be in Medicaid? What is going on that one side is saying and one person saying that we aren't cutting Medicaid costs to those who qualify, and Schumer is saying that we're going to cut it to Medicaid? It's the biggest in American history, and it's going to rip away health care away from millions. But he doesn't clarify who the millions are. So you notice that he's not giving details. It is against the illegals and people that aren't qualified. And this is the big stronghold in our Congress and our House, and then going to the Senate, is they're completely not making sense, one side to the other. How can you be working together so long on a bill that is so important and both come out with completely different statements to the public? How confusing is that to the public? It shouldn't be this way, and they need to get it straightened out. So what's up next for the big, beautiful bill? Well, Republicans have set a July 4th deadline for both chambers to pass the bill. The Senate is not expected to take up the bill until early June, which is another week or so away. But any changes will need to be negotiated and ultimately passed by the House before Trump can even sign it into law. So a lot going on with that big, beautiful bill, a lot of misunderstandings and misreporting. Like I said, their congressmen are working together supposedly, but they're saying completely different things. They're screaming from the top of the roofs, saying, oh, it's going to cut Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security for millions. And over here, they're saying, oh, it's not for the people that qualify, only the unqualified. So, I mean, it can't get much simpler than that. And why aren't they having the same understanding in the bill when they have the bill right in front of them? It just makes no sense to me, and it's just infuriating sometimes. And then next up, we have Memorial Day weekend. Watch the President Trump's Memorial Day address at Arlington Cemetery, where he previewed the 250th anniversary celebration for the United States. I hope you guys got to see some of these moving celebrations and services, memorial services that they did. When President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Pete Hegseth were at the Arlington Cemetery ceremony, it was very respectful, I thought, very moving, remembering those who gave all to this great country so all of us could be protected and free. The White House did also put out a video that captured what it is truly about, that day was about, and it was very powerful. It was beautiful. It was like a drone and aerial footage over Arlington Cemetery with soldiers standing there, and it was just truly beautiful. And the president also spoke at West Point, the 2025 graduation ceremony. It's one of the most beautiful parts. He said this: "You could have done anything. Instead, you chose honor and sacrifice instead of business suits and dress shoes. You chose muddy boots and fatigues. Amazing people you are." So I thought that was a very wonderful, quick little statement. I mean, he did talk more, but that statement stuck to me because that's how much he appreciates our military. You know, to pinpoint it to that, to relate to them on that level, and not just saying, congratulations, hard job, you did well. He's talking about, you could have chose to do anything in this great country. You could have chose business and business suits and dress shoes. Not that there's anything wrong with it. That's what the president does, right? But he's appreciating that they chose to serve, honor, and sacrifice for this country, and chose the muddy boots over the dress boots and the fatigues over the suit. And I thought that was a very strong moment. And there's also very many moving pictures out there, if you didn't see, that Dan Scavino put out across social media regarding all the Memorial Day ceremonies, all the different ways to celebrate. And boy, what a big difference this year than with the previous administration on how Memorial Day weekend was really celebrated, honored, beautifully the way that all of them, JD, the president, and Hedgeseth were walking through Arlington Cemetery, laying the wreath the president did. And it was so beautiful, elegant, classy, and graceful. And it's such a big difference from the previous administration. It was just wonderful to see and experience throughout the weekend. And then also, this was unique in sports. The USA won the World Hockey Championship for the first time in 92 years. It took place, can you believe that? 92 years. It took place May 25th at the Vici Arena in Stockholm, Sweden. So the U.S. did defeat Switzerland 1-0 in overtime to win the IIHF 2025 World Championship. What an incredible feat. I thought that was pretty cool just to take note. 92 years, that's an awful long time, but what a great, great accomplishment. So that's what I have for you today for Headline Hits for Tuesday, March 27th, 2025. Thanks for joining me this morning, everyone. Like I said, we will be back this evening for a show, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, LW and myself, to cover some of these topics in depth. And also, we're going to cover Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, because there are many people that are coming out not real happy with them and the way that they're handling the Epstein files and Epstein list and whatnot, because there is video out there of Dan Bongino in 2023 off of his talk show saying, you know what, we need to investigate these Epstein files. We need to have transparency. We need to understand what's going on in there. And then recently, he was with Kash Patel, and I believe it was on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria on Fox, that he said, you know what, I've seen the Epstein list. I've seen it all. I've seen everything. And he did unalive himself. So all of a sudden, people are saying, why did you change? What happened? Why aren't you giving us more detail? They're not real happy with Kash and Dan. And, you know, it's some big names that are coming out against them, questioning them, including Tucker Carlson and Sean Ryan, Glenn Beck. So that is the newest mud in the water, is people going against each other. I don't want to say against each other. I say questioning one another about, why are you not being foretelling and transparent with these Epstein files? Why is it kind of being buried and put away? We were told that we were going to get transparency and nothing is happening. However, Dan Bongino has come out many times and said this is very, very heavy, a lot to take care of, a lot to do, a lot of people to protect. And we're going to do this thoroughly and completely and correctly, so we don't, let them get through a loophole or something and get off on charges that are brought against them. So who knows? We'll cover all that and more tonight, you guys, on the LWN network right here, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I'm out of here for this morning, and I will catch you guys later tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. God bless. And we will see you guys then. Bye-bye.